You are listening to the Business Leadership Podcast with Edwin Frondozo.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Future Narratives podcast mini series. I am Edwin Frondozo. I'm the host of the Business Leadership Podcast. We are here with the top 3 finalists from the Web Summit Vancouver 2025 pitch competition, where we're exploring how today's leaders shape the future, not just through strategy, but through story. We believe that a strong point of view is what inspires communities, builds movements, and cuts through the noise in uncertain times. So let's dive into this conversation. Today, we're joined by Sarah Graham, co-founder of Light One and the winner of this year's Web Summit Vancouver pitch competition. Light One is redefining how we think about color using microbial biofabrication to create sustainable pigments with purpose. Born from the vision of 2 internationally recognized biodesigners, Light One is not just a company, but a movement. One that puts impact before profit and dares to transform one of the world's most polluting industries in a model of regeneration. Sarah, welcome to the Business Leadership Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you. Having the chance to talk about Light One's mission is one of my favorite things, so I'm really excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited that you were able to take time to join us and to share and just to, get a little more insight about who you are and what you're building with
Yeah.
Light One. So, I guess starting from there, Sarah, can you, I guess for those who are listening, those who are tuning in, if you could tell us about Light One and the problem that you are solving in the global color and design industry.
Yeah. So Light One was born from this deep need to change how we color our world. And with a vision for a cleaner, safer future for everybody. So, color is
hmm
such a powerful part of the human expression. But behind all of that vibrancy of like what we wear, what we use, and surround ourselves with is this deeply toxic, invisible industry. So every year, over 80,000 tons of synthetic dyes are used just for fashion. So these are petroleum based dyes that are extracted from our planet and processed into these colorants. And 20% of the global wastewater comes from dyeing fabrics. So the toxic chemicals that are used in this process often end up in rivers and water systems, devastating ecosystems and causing serious health problems. So to people that are working within these dye houses, but also communities surrounding this area. So cancers, respiratory illnesses, these are all super common and have been linked back to these dye houses and the chemicals that are being used. So all of this harm is just for the sake of making, beautiful clothing. So my co-founder Roya and I came from the design world. I was a fashion designer and she was an industrial designer. But we both eventually found ourselves working in microbiology to design more sustainable materials and systems. It was really interesting. Once we started, we met and we're telling each other our kind of paths to get here. We were kind of in these like incredibly similar parallel paths, but we had never met. So both really from that design aspect, kind of fed up with the impacts that our industry is making on the planet and just consumed with the incredible innovation that's in nature. So working in biodesign and really understanding how living systems can allow us to build more sustainably. That kind of led us all to Light One and coming together. So we just decided to start this company that would show how colorful and capable the microscopic world really is and how we can use nature as a blueprint for that better way forward. And we do that. There's a huge array of microbes in the world, and they naturally produce vibrant, beautiful colors. So at Light One, we're leveraging the functions of those microbes to biomanufacture clean, circular colorants for use in textile, paint, cosmetic, food industries, and more. Pretty much anywhere you see physical color, one day it will be a Light One color.
Amazing. That hit that, as you talk about this, and Sarah, this is what was going through my mind. I'm just thinking about, all the clothes, even this black, dye, which is probably not a real dye or whatnot. It's just like this affects everyone. And
Mhm.
I'm willing to bet, and you could tell me differently, that most people have no idea the effect is, especially when we talk about fast fashion, and we don't have to go down that rabbit hole because I have friends that are in, going against fast fashion as well. But like, tell me, like what is that impact really? I know you listed it, and I'm sure you talk about it, but like when you talk about that problem and even that gap that you're trying to solve here, like what are the biggest challenges that you are finding right now in terms of, I guess, the uptake or getting industry to change what they're doing?
Yeah, so the industry is actually kind of desperate for a change. So up until
Mm.
now, color has been overlooked. So sustainability efforts have really focused on solid materials like, polyester and fabrics. If you're thinking about food, it's like focusing on seed oils instead of the colorants that are used. So the dyes and pigments that go into products, they're still so much petrochemical and unregulated. It's one of the most toxic industries that people never see. So um, the that has started to shift now, where people are looking beyond that and really understanding that color, there's so much chemicals that go into this, and not just at the use phase, but in the synthesis of them, the extraction of the raw components, and all the way into the end of life and what they're doing when they end up in landfill. Which, back to fast fashion, almost everything is disposed of after a year or less.
Mm.
So and all of those aspects is kind of coming to light now, and so the industry is actually really searching for this, but they haven't been able to adopt successfully um, technologies in color that will really scale. So what's on
Right.
the market right now, when you're looking at clean colorants, there's like plant-based dyes, or natural dyes all come from plants, minerals, or insects. Um, and plant-based dyes are beautiful and they have a use case, but they can't scale because the land usage that they need, pesticide use, the water use, like those are traditional, beautiful crafts, but you cannot employ them at the scale that synthetics are. So they're not a real alternative when you're looking at the whole problem. So the technologies that have come out are really not scalable or viable at the cost or performance. So the
Mm.
performance of plant-based dyes as well are not meeting the standards of the industry. So for us, that's a huge opportunity point because we're matching or exceeding expectations with our microbial dye. We can produce tons of dye in a small land area with waste as our resources, and they're biodegradable and don't have those same problems that synthetics do. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And that's really hitting home with our customers in the industry, and they're ready for this.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing, and I'm really like just talking to you, Sarah, just thinking about the positive impact um, that will happen as you go through, as it scales and more people start leveraging it, or more suppliers or manufacturers start really trying it, using it and leveraging it. Sarah, I'm curious, as we talk about future narrative, um, your background, your unique point of view, like what do you bring to this problem? And I know you did mention, um, you come from the industry, but what really got you thinking about it and how you see things differently now?
Yeah, I think what sets us apart is that we approach this from the designer mindset and the scientist lens. So, as bio designers, you think holistically. So, we're looking at this environmental problem, but we're also designing systems around it. So, we've been the customer. Like I said, we've sat at the other side of the table as a designer and had been pitched new materials. So I understand what gets adopted and what doesn't. And we're building this company with that insight. So it's not, just about the novelty, but the performance and scalability, cost, aesthetics. So that's why these brands are really excited about what we're doing. Um, and we're working with these bacteria as like mini factories. So we're cultivating them to produce these pigments in a clean, controlled, circular way. So it's like that nature meets deep tech. Um, and yeah, I could talk honestly for hours about bacteria and how incredible they are and the microbial world. And like it really reminds me of space a little bit. When you think about space, it exists at a scale that's hard to grasp and it's full of unknowns and there's incredible potential there. And these
Yeah.
organisms, like microorganisms, they're some of the most powerful chemists on Earth. And they've really evolved to produce a stunning range of compounds including pigments. So it's not just that bacteria make colors, they can make all kinds of things that we need and we use daily, that we could, be employing these little micro factories to be making that a lot more sustainably. Yeah, there's incredible chemical diversity in microbes. And so at Light One, we're harnessing that power to make the color.
Yeah, that's it. It's so interesting, and I'm just like imagining what these places look like, and it sounds like to me you're leveraging a lot of the partnerships in terms of people who create these microbial like centers. I guess I don't know what you call
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about how we produce it, you could kind of think about how you make beer. So it's in these large vats. There's liquid that has all of the components that these microbes need to thrive. So we make them, like their little paradise in these bioreactors, and in turn, they're able to churn out the colors or the different chemicals that we're aiming to produce.
Hmm.
So in Canada, that's very limited. So biomanufacturing as a industry is very limited within Canada. In
Hmm.
BC, there's not much we could plug into with partnerships. It's really, if you want to do it here, you have to build your own, which is incredibly expensive. So we've actually been able to leverage partnerships in other parts of Canada. Nova Scotia is an amazing place for biomanufacturing. The provincial government has really focused on building that as kind of the biomanufacturing hub of Canada. So there's a lot of funding going into infrastructure and talent in that area. So
Hmm.
we've been able to connect with a nonprofit there that's set up by the provincial government and have access to their equipment, their bioreactors at the pilot scale, all the way up to right before we need to transition into commercial scale. And that's been a lifesaver. So, yeah, the equipment partnerships for scale up has been essential for us.
That's really cool. Um, I know as we talk about really the issues and the environmentally, like where did this I give this purpose driven
Yeah.
um come from you? Like what why does it really matter to you personally? Like what happened, I guess, when you came into the workforce or maybe even before? Like why does this really like because it's not easy,
No.
but it's fulfilling, right?
Yeah. So this company is really the convergence of so many of my passions.
Okay.
So I can start a little bit with how I got here and then
Yeah.
my why. Um, I'd always, wanted to be a fashion designer. When I was kind of growing up, I absolutely loved art and design, and I also love science, but they were kind of these like opposing concepts. You were either scientific or scholarly and math driven or that sort of thing, or you were in the arts. They weren't. There was no crossover. So that I really didn't like that, but once I got into fashion design, that was kind of the combining of those two as far as I could understand. You had
Mm-hmm.
that analytical mathematics of the architecture of clothing and pattern drafting and all of that with that creativity component. So that was really exciting. But as I was working through the industry, I was kind of confronted with the huge impact environmentally that this industry has, and also how it kind of treats the people that are working within its system. I was actually working at Joe Fresh when the Rana Plaza collapse happened, which was
Mm.
a major disaster in Bangladesh, and over 1,400 people died in a factory that I was working at a company who was profiting off of that. So that was a really big switch in my mind where I was like, I am only going to be working at companies that I feel like have a purpose beyond commerce. Um, So that kind of led me through the fashion world, working at really interesting impact brands. But I got super consumed with innovation in materials and a lot of these new fabrics, like at the time, which now is very commonplace, but recycled polyester or like coffee grinds being used as finishings for antimicrobial, like sweating and things like that. I was like, this is so much cooler than what I'm doing. So I really wanted to be on that side where I'm the material innovator. And that led me to going back to school and getting a master's. And through that master's, I was introduced to biodesign. And that's where I was like, oh my God, science and design together. Like, this is what I've been searching for my whole life. And since
That's
then, yeah, that
yeah. I mean, that's really cool. It's interesting how your path went from. So I have a young daughter. She's 9, and she's so like fashion forward the way she thinks, anyways. And
Mhm.
she's an artist, and I'm an engineer. So it's interesting how the path got you there from
Absolutely.
going there, and I think that really, I guess that turning point in terms of when you were working for Joe Fresh and really seeing the impact, and maybe part of our upbringing and being, I'm just assuming you're Canadian
Yeah.
also, is just like how can we do better for everyone, and it plays a big role in terms of your what how you got to where you are, and maybe the point of view and really being passionate about helping and making an impact was really interesting into your story.
hmm Yeah, definitely. That's super essential to it. But another reason, like I love this planet. In
Mm,
BC, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I like go for a hike
yeah.
in the forest. I swim in the alpine lakes. Like it's a privilege that I really never want to take for granted. But um, that's not the reality for everyone. And a lot of that is because of the way that we manufacture things. So making a positive impact on the planet in that way is super important for me. Um, and beyond that, I'm just like absolutely in awe of nature. Like the more I learn about microbial life, the more questions I have. And these like invisible organisms have shaped our lives from like our past, our present, and our future. Like there's literally nothing that bacteria can't do. Like it's crazy.
I
So,
love it. Yeah.
yeah, working at Light One and like really pushing this company forward, like I get to dive into that every day and like that's so invigorating. And how complex life is and nature is and the way that humans are treating it is kind of like like how dare we do this? Like we have no right to be acting this way. So I feel fiercely dedicated to kind of being that catalyst for change. Um, and yeah.
And you're doing it right in terms of like a very specific industry that has a global impact as well,
Mhm.
to everyone. I feel like no one is not affected by this,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
let alone moving it to like, I see these things get into my Instagram feed where it's like the food coloring, how
Oh yeah.
bad it is. Like
Yeah.
this.
It's
Yeah, it's
crazy. So yeah, there's like color is in our world in so many ways. And it's a huge problem that we really need to fix because it affects, like you're saying, every single person's lives, some more than others. And it's really unfair for that to be happening just for profitability and keeping things going the way that they have always gone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a question for us, for me, really curious, as we talk about the solution, how the industry is desperate for you. I mean, your timing is almost perfect when it comes to coming to market. But what does that future look like? Everyone's using light wine. Everyone's using like what
Gorgeous.
the yeah. What does that future look for your customers when the problem is solved?
Yeah. So, like the most sustainable use of color is to not use color at this point, but once we're fully in the market, then that's not going to be a problem. So
Mm-hmm.
when Light One's vision becomes the reality, hey, clean and sustainable color is going to be the standard, not the exception. And for
Mm-hmm.
our manufacturing partners, that means offering high performance, clean colorants in like every shade imaginable without that burden of regulatory risk, toxic waste that they need to deal with, or the supply chain like volatility, because this can be produced at any time, at any place, anywhere in the world. You're inside a tank reactor. It doesn't matter what climate you're in, what season it is, all of those things. For the brands, it really means no more trade-offs. So they can deliver vibrant, sustainable products that meets their customers' expectations for like the beauty and performance and the impact. And again, at any scale, at a fair cost without the compromise. Then for the public, it means not having to think. You don't have to question whether the colors in your clothes or your makeup or your food are safe. Like they just are. That's not a worry anymore. We have enough things to worry about. And then for the ecosystems, it means freedom from harm. So rivers and soil and biodiversity don't have to bear the cost of color for us. Instead, they get to thrive.
And we could live in a vivid world with no harm.
Exactly.
It's Technicolor, but not tech. I mean, it is
Yeah,
Technicolor. But
it's tech color. But I just like color. Another amazing thing about working at Light One and why I love it so much is like I love color. Like it's like so much so I can't even pick a favorite color. But it
Oh
goes
my
so
gosh.
far beyond the visual aspect as well. Like there's a deeply human, emotional, and symbolic relationship that we have with color. Like it's metaphorical. If you think about, like red, it's anger, or blue could be sadness. It's symbolic. We use it to carry memories and communicate values and protest and power and faith. All of these things are represented through color. So it's like a part of our personal and collective storytelling throughout history all the way till now. So it's just so much more than, basic. Sometimes when you say, oh, like we make dyes, it's so surface level. It sounds surface level, but actually this company is so meaningful and there's so much deep like depth behind everything. And colors are incredible and I love them so much.
No, it's awesome. It's very inspiring, Sarah, what you and Light One is doing. It really as you get vivid in the future that, you're creating, that you're innovating in, it's really an honor for us to be here and really talk to you because you're a really good example in terms of really like understanding the impact and really looking to build that community and the buy-in and hopefully the awareness eventually to the end users, to all of us, understanding I want to look for that logo in that t-shirt I buy that says Light One,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, totally. That buy-in is really, really big because I think when people often think of microbes or bacteria, it's in a negative context. And like for me, that's the complete opposite. But you are not going to know that until you hear the stories that are behind the microbes, like there's that idea of like humanizing things by telling stories, but also we can do that same kind of process through telling stories of the microbes, which is really important. So we have kind of that challenge ahead of us is like getting people to understand. And it's completely shifting now. Like if you think about how people speak of their microbiome and things like that, like the narrative is really shifting, but it's important to push that even further and for everyone to understand like microbes are absolutely essential for the functioning of the entire planet and every living system within it. So they deserve a little more respect than they get. And that's a part of what we're doing here is telling those stories.
Yeah, no, I love it. And, if we could play a small part of it with this interview and me going out to the world and asking people now,
Yeah.
this is amazing. Before I let you go, Sarah, I'd love it if you could share, first thing that comes to mind, if you could share any final thoughts, advice, maybe for the designers or the entrepreneurs or any of the future innovators that are trying to lead with impact.
Okay, so it's so hard. Like it's so hard. So make sure you love what you're doing and you deeply believe in it because you're going to have to keep coming back to your why. Like why are you doing this? Does the world need this? That's what's really going to carry you through those super tough moments. The path to building meaningful change is like not easy. It's not linear. It's going to be times when, only that why really keeps you going. But you also cannot do it alone. So surround yourself with diverse and brilliant, caring people. Your team is like going to be everything. And I absolutely need to shout out the Light One team because they're incredible. We have great minds from all over the place, Harvard, MIT, other research hubs globally, and also from the industry as well. They all bring incredible knowledge and passion. And their hard work is what has gotten us this far. So our truly like multidisciplinary backgrounds, which was such an important part of when Roy and I started this, what we were going for when building this team, it really allows us to push those boundaries of what's possible. So building your team is so important. Get those right people beside you. They're the ones that are going to get you to where you need to go.
Amazing. Well, Sarah, this has been an absolute pleasure. Very, very enlightening for me. I learned quite a bit just even as you get out there to tell the story. So thank you for joining us on the Business Leadership Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. I had a really fun time. This has been great chatting.
You are listening to the Business Leadership Podcast with Edwin Frondozo.